No one came to my book club. I read the book anyway. This is not for inspiration. We look at why this book exists, how it unfolds, and what it leaves behind. Let us begin. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Pride and Prejudice. Chapter 1. This is not a romantic observation. It is an economic law. Pride and Prejudice is usually described as a love story, but underneath the romance is something much colder. In Jane Austen's England, 5 sisters are living on borrowed time, because when their father dies, the law will take their home, their land, and their future. A legal trap called an entail, designed to keep property in the hands of men, means the Bennet sisters inherit nothing. This is Elizabeth Bennet. She is intelligent, she is witty, and in the eyes of the law, she is an obstacle. She lives in a world where her only currency is her character, and the market is rigged against her. Her family lives comfortably, but precariously. One bad social move, one refused dance, one scandal, and they tip into poverty. Every ballroom conversation carries the weight of a business negotiation. So why does this story end happily? The world that demanded this book was one of rigid walls disguised as green fields, while Napoleon's wars raged across the Channel, distant, almost abstract. A different kind of battle was being fought in the drawing rooms of Hertfordshire. A battle over land, inheritance, and the price of a woman's security. The woman who wrote this story, Jane Austen, lived in this world of precarious finances and rigid social rules. She was the daughter of a country clergyman, and she knew firsthand the anxieties of a woman with few rights and no independent fortune. But what made this book necessary was a reaction against the stories of her time. Popular novels were often overblown melodramas, tales of pure feeling and ruinous passion. Austen chose a different path. England at the turn of the 19th century was a world caught between 2 systems, the old rules and the new money. The old world of inherited land and ancient family names was starting to rub against the new world of men who had made their fortunes in trade, in commerce. These men had money, but not status. Families like the Bennets had the status of gentry, but no money. The only bridge between these 2 worlds was marriage. It was a world of polite cruelty. Culture and politics demanded that a woman marry for money, but the heart demanded something more. Austen wrote to bridge that fracture. The question that forced this book into existence was simple. How does a person of integrity survive a system designed to buy and sell them? The text is structured as a narrative of 3 volumes. It moves like a dance, measured, precise, and full of hidden meanings. It is a story of 2 people moving from total blindness to clear sight. The story unfolds through the eyes of the second daughter, Elizabeth Bennet. She is her father's favorite, intelligent, observant, and blessed with a quick wit and a sharp tongue. Her mother, of course, despairs of her. While the beautiful and gentle Jane is the ideal, and the youngest, Lydia, is wild and foolish, Elizabeth is the one who watches, who judges, and who will be tested. The disruption arrives in the form of 2 wealthy bachelors, Mr. Bingley and Mr. Darcy. Mr. Bingley is warm, charming, and immediately taken with the gentle Jane. Mr. Darcy is his opposite. He is handsome, yes, and even richer, but he is proud, silent, and looks at the country society around him with cold disdain. He refuses to dance. He refuses to be pleasant. When Mr. Darcy dismisses Elizabeth within her earshot, calling her tolerable but not handsome enough to tempt me, the conflict is set. Elizabeth laughs it off, but the wound to her pride is real. She decides he is a villain before he has even spoken a word to her. This is the spark. Darcy has the pride of rank. Elizabeth adopts a prejudice against his character. She creates a story about him. He is the arrogant, insufferable snob, and for a long time, everything she sees confirms this judgment. The tension escalates with the arrival of a charming militia officer, Mr. Wickham. He is handsome, friendly, and confirms all of Elizabeth's suspicions. He tells her a tragic story, how Darcy, his childhood companion, cheated him out of his inheritance out of pure jealousy and pride. Her prejudice makes her easy to deceive. Elizabeth, her judgment now completely clouded, believes him without question. The story's hinge, its great turning point, comes in two parts. First, at his estate, Pemberley, Mr. Darcy, against all his instincts, proposes to Elizabeth, but he does it badly. He reminds her of her family's low station, her inferior connections. He is proud even as he confesses his love. Elizabeth, furious, rejects him in a blaze of righteous anger, accusing him of ruining her sister's happiness and destroying Wickham. The next day, Darcy gives her a letter, and this letter changes everything. It does not argue with her. It simply explains. It reveals the truth about Wickham, that he is a gambler and a liar who tried to elope with Darcy's own young sister for her fortune. It explains his actions toward Jane and Bingley, actions he admits were wrong, but which were based on a genuine belief that Jane didn't truly love Bingley. In that moment, Elizabeth is forced to look at herself. She reads his words, and she is filled with shame. Not shame for being poor, but shame for being blind. She realizes she has built her entire prejudice against Darcy on vanity, on her own pride in her judgment, and on the handsome face of a charming liar. Till this moment, she thinks, I never knew myself. The arc continues at Pemberley. Elizabeth sees Darcy's home and realizes the man matches the house, grand, solid, and true. She sees it not as a monument to his pride, but as a reflection of his true self, tasteful, beautiful, well-managed. The final test comes when the family crisis Elizabeth always feared explodes. Her youngest sister, Lydia, runs away with the deceitful Wickham. It is a scandal that will destroy the reputation of every Bennet sister forever. There is no coming back from this. Elizabeth knows it. Their lives are over. But Darcy, the man she accused of being heartless, acts. He finds them. He uses his money, his influence, his power not for himself, but to force Wickham to marry Lydia, to save the Bennet family from ruin. The book's title points to its central tension, pride and prejudice. The story suggests these are not just personality flaws, but products of their world. Darcy's pride comes from his station. Elizabeth's prejudice comes from her powerlessness. The knot the book ties is this: they can only overcome these flaws together. He learns humility from her. She learns to see clearly from him. But at what cost? The book claims that love is the only justification for marriage, but it strains under the reality of Charlotte Lucas. Charlotte, Elizabeth's best friend, marries the buffoonish Mr. Collins, not for love, but for survival. As Charlotte herself says, "I am not romantic, you know. I never was. I ask only a comfortable home." Here is the uncomfortable truth in the story. Austen gives us a heroine who refuses a marriage for security, but she also shows us that, for most women in this world, security is the only rational reason to marry. The book celebrates the heart while acknowledging the crushing weight of the bank ledger, the coin and the heart pulling against each other. The happy ending is secured by Darcy's immense wealth. He doesn't just love Elizabeth, he saves her family. He pays off Wickham. The marriage between Elizabeth and Darcy is a triumph of love, yes, but it is also a transaction. It is a fairy tale built on a foundation of cold, hard cash. It solves the problem the book opened with, the survival of the Bennet women, but it does so by marrying into the very system that created the problem. That is the knot it never quite unties. When Pride and Prejudice was published in 1813, it was an anonymous success. Readers loved the characters, the wit, the romance, but critics were uncertain. One called it trifling. Another complained it was too ordinary, too focused on the mundane details of everyday life. They did not yet realize they were holding a map of the modern psyche. As the decades passed, the interpretation shifted from class to psychology. We began to see that the book wasn't just about finding a husband, it was about the difficulty of truly knowing another human being. The reader changes, but the book's clinical observation of human folly remains. And so we return to where we began, to a truth universally acknowledged. But the sentence now carries a different weight. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. We know now that the opening line was never really about the single man. It was about the world that needed him. Pride is the wall we build to protect our status. Prejudice is the wall we build to protect our feelings. One must learn to look twice or remain forever blind. And in that world, two people, one too proud, one too quick to judge, managed to find each other. As Elizabeth herself finally says, "I am the happiest creature in the world."